AI is not a brain, it is not a leader, it is not a replacement for thinking. AI is a multiplier. When used correctly, it compresses time, it expands capacity, and it sharpens insight. When used incorrectly, it creates noise, risk, and shallow decision making without any human review, lead to errors, lead to bias, and it leads to reputational risk. AI needs guardrails, feedback loops, and accountability. What up, Bars Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. And today we are talking about artificial intelligence. I am talking about the do's and don'ts. Actually, not the do's and don'ts. I am talking about the 5 ways I think people should be using AI and the 5 ways I think people should not be using AI. And the reason why I'm touching on this today is because when you think about it, artificial intelligence is no longer optional for businesses. It's not optional. It's already embedded in how real work gets done. So the problem isn't whether to use AI. The problem is how are you using AI? And too many companies, too many businesses, brands, individuals are either underusing AI or they are using it in places where it can actively cause harm. So today I want to break this down very simple. I want to look at the 5 things that businesses should be using AI for and the 5 things that they should absolutely not be using AI for. So let's start on a positive note. Let's start with what AI is actually very good at. So the first thing is efficiency and time compression. So AI should be used to eliminate repetitive, low value work, drafting emails, summarizing long documents, filling up notes, organizing research, transcribing meetings, generating outlines, or even creating some basic reports. Now, if a task is repeatable, rule-based, and time-consuming, then AI is perfect for it. And this is where productivity gains actually happen. Now, the second way that we should be using AI is for data analysis and pattern detection. AI is exceptional at spotting trends that humans miss. So we're talking about sales pattern, customer behavior, churn signal, campaign performance, pricing sensitivity. AI can surface insights quickly and at scale. Many businesses are currently today sitting on data, but they are not extracting any insights from those data, and in turn, they are leaving money on the table. So AI should be helping leaders see faster. The third way to use AI, that's how we should be using AI, my favorite, is content ideation and scaling. Not replacement. Not replacement. AI is excellent for brainstorming, for generating variations, for repurposing long-form content into shorter clips, caption, blog drafts, email sequences, and different ad angles if you want to do ads. It accelerates the output, but it should support your thinking, not replace it. AI should never be used to replace your thinking. The best use of AI here is speed and volume with human direction. Keyword, human direction. The fourth way is customer support and first line interaction. I was part of an AI summit recently and the organizers called me. When I answered the phone, I was literally speaking to an AI spokesperson. So the company called me, but it actually was an AI spokesperson that called me. And we had a conversation. Like, they were asking me questions, I was answering the questions, and I was speaking to an AI assistant. That was so cool. So customer support and the first line interaction. So AI chatbots and assistants, they work well for FAQs, for appointment scheduling, order tracking, for basic troubleshooting, and for routing customers to the right place. What this does is it improves response time and it reduces the pressure on the human, on the individual, the person, me and you. It reduces that pressure. But the key though is knowing when to hand off to a real person. So not trapping the customer in some kind of automation loop. We have to know when we are going to pass other interaction to a real person. And the fifth way is decision support, not decision making. And this is big. And I want to repeat it. Decision support, not decision making. Now, AI should help leaders to test scenarios, to model outcomes, to compare options, and to pressure test assumptions. So think like forecasting, budgeting simulation, marketing performance predictions. What AI does is AI gives the input, and we as the human, we as the intelligent being, well, I mean, artificial intelligence, so it's intelligent too, but we as a human, we make the call, right? So when used properly, AI sharpens our judgment instead of replacing it. It doesn't replace our judgment, it sharpens it. Now, let's talk about what businesses should not be using AI for. And this is where the most damage happens. And people don't really see it, but this is where the damage happens. So the first thing that we should not be using AI for is using AI as a final decision authority. AI should not be making hiring decisions. It should not be making firing decisions. It should not be making pricing decisions or ethical calls on its own. Why? Because it doesn't understand context, consequences, or culture. So when a business outsources judgment to algorithm, they lose accountability. And that always comes back to bite them in the ass. That's what we don't want to do. The second thing we should not be using AI for is authentic brand voice and storytelling. AI cannot be the final voice of your brand. Every output that you get from an AI tool, you have to go over it. It's about maybe 80% done, and the next 20% is you going in there and infusing your brand voice, your stories. AI doesn't know your lived experiences. It doesn't know your culture. It doesn't know your values or even your audience emotional context. Now, one could argue that, yes, we can provide the context to the AI. We can give it, our brand voice and everything else. And yes, that is great. You can do that. But that doesn't mean that when you get the output that you should still just say, okay, well, I accept it wholesale as is. No, we don't do that, because brands that let AI fully write the message start to sound very generic, very hollow, and just interchangeable. So AI can assist, but the human must lead the narrative. The next thing that we should not be letting AI do for us is sensitive communication. So don't use AI to write apology statements, crisis responses, performance reviews, termination emails, or deeply personal customer communications. Now, I think that the AI could help you with the draft, the first draft, and so. But again, this kind of like really sensitive personal information, don't outsource it to an AI tool. Maybe if you want to get ideas, you want to get like a draft or so, then fine. But the truth is, these moments requires empathy, nuance, and responsibility. So like I said, AI can help draft ideas, but the final message must come from a human who understands what's at stake. So that's key. Now, the next thing that we should not be using AI for is to replace human expertise instead of like amplifying it, right? So replacing human expertise instead of amplifying it. AI should not be used as a shortcut to avoid hiring skilled professionals. AI should not be used as a shortcut to avoid hiring skilled professionals or developing internal talent. Because, using AI to replace strategic thinking, creative leadership, legal judgment, or even financial oversight is reckless. It's reckless. The strongest companies use AI to extend experts, not to eliminate them. And the fifth way, or the final way, that we should not be using AI is blind automation without oversight. If you don't understand how an AI system works, you shouldn't let it run unattended. And another thing is, don't just invest in an AI tool just because. You should not invest in an AI tool and then figure out how to use it in your business. No, you should have a problem that you need solved. Check to see whether or not using an AI tool or AI system can solve it. Look at which one can help you and then invest in that one. You should not be getting a subscription to Gemini, to ChatGPT, to Perplexity, to Claude, and then you say, okay, well, I have ChatGPT now, so how can I use it in my business? No, you're putting the cart before the horse. This whole idea starts with understanding what problem do we want to solve. It starts with understanding strategy. What's the plan for going forward? And how can AI help us achieve that, right? So automating marketing, automating finance, automating HR or operations without any human review lead to errors, lead to bias, and it leads to reputational risk. AI need guardrails, feedback loops, and accountability. Guardrails, feedback loop, and accountability. So yeah, so we're not going to just let AI run wild in our business, just have a set of automation running unattended, or investing in an AI tool without knowing exactly what we're going to use it for, trying to get the tool and then try to figure out the problem for the tool to solve. That's like saying, okay, well, I have the solution. No, I need a problem for this solution. That's back to front thinking. We're not doing that. Not in 2026. So here's the core takeaway now. AI is not a brain. It is not a leader. It is not a replacement for thinking. AI is a multiplier. When used correctly, it compresses time, it expands capacity, and it sharpens insight. When used incorrectly, it creates noise, risk, and shallow decision making. That's it. So the business that will win aren't the ones that are using the most AI. They're the ones using AI with intention, with boundaries, and with human leadership at the center. Key, human leadership at the center, because AI doesn't replace good thinking. It exposes who was never thinking clearly in the first place. AI doesn't replace good thinking. It simply exposes who was never thinking clearly in the first place. So, Bars Nation, these are some of the ways that I think that we should be using AI and some of the ways that I think that we should not be using AI. And I mean, I make no apologies for this. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. If you have any questions, queries, comments, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on social media at Kimron Corion everywhere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. I mean, it really helps to bring you these topics every week. I really appreciate everyone who's taking the time to be here with me. So, Bars Nation, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Peace out.